Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say, it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Wednesday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. The show today will be JC kicking it off, and then we'll be joined by Hall of Famer here at the University of Florida, Jacquez Green. Let's go ahead and get on over to JC. JC, how we doing? It's St. Patrick's Day. Are you one of these guys that goes to the Irish pub in town and drinks green beer all day?
I like Guinness, QB. I'm a Guinness man. Yes, happy St. Patrick's Day. It is also my third anniversary. This was, it was March 17th. So here I am, got my Celtics hat on, and I usually never really got into St. Patrick's Day, but then somehow I got married on St. Patrick's Day. So today's number 3. And it's a reason to wear my Celtics hat, which I haven't worn much of lately. So, because they're not very good, QB. I'm here. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I've never been one that really understood the St. Patrick's Day, the Cinco de Mayo days. Yeah. You know, it's just a good way for people to go out to bars and drink green beer. Yeah.
I do know the story of Cinco de Mayo, but since we're not there yet, I'll wait until May 5th to tell you that story, which is why it is, because I was in Texas and learned that story, but I'll wait till May 5th. How's that?
All right. Well, JC, last night Gator baseball goes up to Tallahassee and gets shellacked 10-2. So I guess it's time to fire Kevin O'Sullivan, according to people. Softball loses in a exhibition game to the USA Olympic team. I think it was 4-0. So this is back-to-back years, which Tim Walton got 3 of his girls to come back that played for the USA team, which was kind of cool. I was there last year. They didn't plan to come back this year because they're supposed to be playing. What they were supposed to play last year, I guess, in the Olympics.
Yeah.
But, So they have an extra year to practice. So that's kind of what's going on in the sports world. On campus, spring practice and football wraps up this week.
So,
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I have not followed much of spring practice, but some of the little snippets I have gotten out of spring practice, QB, is that your boy Emory's struggling a little bit. Now, I know it's just practice, and it's not a big deal. We're 8 months or 5 months before the season. But remember what I told you a few months ago, okay? You remember, right? You remember. They're the same exact guy, JC. Anthony Richardson is bigger than Emory, isn't he? He's a much bigger guy, isn't he? Yeah, but what does that matter? Well, Dan Mullen loves big quarterbacks, big, fast quarterbacks.
Emory is 6'3", about 210. And you got to remember, this is what people forget. Emory was the prize recruit of Dan Mullen. He was going to Ohio State. And that was the first person that he went after. Here's the thing. Basically, what you're going to see is a Baltimore Raven version in college football next year with the Florida Gators is what you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of quarterback runs.
Yeah, and you remember my prediction, right?
Yeah, you think Anthony Richardson will be the starter. There is no way in hell that happens. Trust me.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm just telling you. Well, okay. All right.
Yeah, because you have such inside information.
It doesn't matter what I have. I'm just telling you.
Because you have nothing. You're just going out on a limb. It will not happen. Trust me. Trust me. Now, Anthony will play.
He will play, and there may be a chance where if he doesn't start at the beginning of the season, there may be a time where at some specific game throughout the season, he may get to start. Who knows?
Well, I guess it depends on. Regardless of who plays quarterback, you're not going to see anything near what you saw the last 2 years. It's going to be quarterback runs. Quarterback runs.
We've made that very. I mean, I get that. I do. And I don't see. why anybody would be surprised by that. It was just a kind of a one-off year with Kyle Trask last year and what he was able to do, and some of those receivers he was able to find out there. I mean, we didn't really talk much about Grimes and Copeland and guys like that before the year until the year got going, and then all of a sudden, wow, look at these guys go. But
to be fair to Emory, he's not the same type of thrower, but he's also not going to have the same weapons.
No,
you're comparing apples to oranges.
Okay. No, I mean, I don't know the difference between the two, frankly. I don't know who's better, who's not better, but I don't think it's that far out of the question that we may see Anthony Richardson start, but maybe not. We'll see.
You won't see him start. Trust me.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
It's no different than what other wager we have for lunch. I can't remember what it was.
I didn't mean to get you off track there on what you're talking about.
I'm not off track at all. I'm just stating a fact.
It's not a fact because it hasn't happened yet. You don't know what's a fact until it happens.
I will bet you anything in the world that Emory Jones is the starting quarterback.
All right. Well, I do need some new tires. Maybe we'll look at that.
Okay. Well, I don't want your tires. When I win, I don't want the tires.
I'll buy you tires for that.
I don't need tires. I got good tires.
That 92 Classic you drive around.
That's right. So, but anyway, your sources are so bad, JC, and I know who they think they are.
You do not.
Yeah.
Oh, you think you know who they are? Okay. All right.
Okay, so anyway, the March Madness starts, and if you want to get into the pot up with Matthews in the morning contest, go to ESPN.com.
You got to do it tomorrow. By tomorrow.
No, the tournament starts
Friday. You're not doing the first four. We don't have to do the first four or any of that, right? Michigan State, UCLA,
I don't think they even give you an option. It's both teams if you want them to advance. So make sure you go to ESPN.com, type in. It's on the little website or on Facebook Live here, but just make sure you pot up with Shane as the group, and we'll be giving away a good prize. And make sure it's in by noon on Friday. JC, have you filled out your bracket yet?
Yeah, I'm in the process of it, and I haven't. I've been a little busy this week, but today I'm really going to get off after it because I think I really looked at it for the first time really hard last night, and I've got some ideas of how I'm going to pick some of the upsets that I'm going to pick because there is a feeling that chalk, meaning the favorites, are going to just roll through these brackets, and that's not outrageous to think, but I do know that in the past that's rarely, if ever, truly ever happened. Maybe it has a couple times, but there's always going to be some upsets. There's always going to be some shockers, some surprises. And then they talk about how the 12 seed has always had success or as much success against a 5 seed as any of the other lower seeded teams. So, you got to pick a couple of those, right? You got to pick a couple of those. So I do have an idea of where I'm going to go on some of those upsets and why, because of the favorites that are in the specific regions that some of those upsets might happen, and then you can kind of just go with a favorite after those upsets in the early first 2 rounds. So I don't think we're going to see 3 Big Ten teams in the Final Four like some people do. I know the Big Ten has had a pretty good year as opposed to, say, the ACC, which has not had very highly ranked teams throughout the season. And of course, we don't even have Duke in the big dance. But, everybody's kind of like you thinking that one team is just going to steamroll through all this. And even though I think Gonzaga's region for them is as easy as probably any other reason for a top seed, I think Michigan's region for them would be considered maybe the toughest region for a top seed. So, just looking at some of the games and some of the matchups, those are some early observations that I have. But I do have some upsets that I do think are going to happen. And I guess we'll wait till Friday, or what do you want to do?
Well, I picked a ton of upsets in the first round.
Oh, you did?
I don't even call them upsets. It's just I think there's so much parity in college basketball, except for maybe 1 or 2 teams, or maybe 3 teams. I do not think 3 Big Ten teams will make the Final Four. I think two will, possibly. I don't think Michigan will go very far because I don't think people realize how good and what the role Isaiah Livers plays for them.
Well, he's definitely not playing. Is that right?
As far as I know, I don't know. I haven't been watching Jay Billis's bracketology like you did all last night, so I don't know.
Well, I think it's good information. I mean, who's better to talk about the final about basketball than somebody like that? I mean, it's his life, basically.
Real quick, we got a text here on the Titan Tomorrow text line. It comes from Larry. Back to the NFL, which I'm surprised you haven't talked much NFL because you follow this, JC. I
do love the NFL.
It says former Gator Jacoby Brissett signed with the Dolphins.
That's interesting, and he's done, I think, fairly well wherever he's been.
Yeah, I think Jacoby's had a heck of a career, and he's a guy that will last a long time. He's lasted a long time, and I think he'll
do well.
You never know; he may end up playing ahead of Tua.
I saw where Ryan Fitzpatrick is now going to get a $10 million contract to play for the football team in Washington, and with incentives, of course, and. So that was an interesting pickup, I think, by the Redskins. And they're going to let Taylor Hinkie learn under Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think that guy is the future in Washington if he's any indication of how he – well, let's just remember how he played when he had a chance. But he may not be. I'm just saying.
You saw him play one game.
But they're going to keep him on the roster, right? They're going to keep him on the roster. He's going to be the backup to Fitzpatrick. And, he'll I think that's a great guy to learn from.
Where do the Redskins draft, JC? Do you know? Probably late because they made the playoffs.
Well, they did make the playoffs, but they may have traded and had an early pick that they got from a trade. I don't know the draft order right now, other than I think the Dolphins are 3 and the Jaguars are 1 and the Jets are 2. So those are the top 3 picks, right? I think the Rams are trying to get some cap space to maybe trade for a first-round draft pick. That's a team that hasn't had a first-round draft pick since 2016, if you can believe that. And they've been in the playoffs for the majority of the years between then and now. So they tried. They didn't make it with free agents and so forth, but they're rebuilding that team. I think that's, with Matthew Stafford, a team you got to keep your eye on. But the draft is fun to watch. It's coming up in a month. We got the Masters coming up in less than a month. You've got, of course, the March Madness is going to take us through March into April. This is a great time of year until we get to those events. And so, man. And then, of course, we've got baseball going to be kicking up. And as far as the Gators go, you mentioned them struggling at FSU last night. Just keep in mind that these midweek games sometimes, and look, Florida.
It doesn't matter.
I know, but Florida won something like 10 out of 12 games against FSU before last night's game. So they've had Florida State's number. And it's only a matter of time until at some point you're going to lose to this team, right? Because Florida State's a very good baseball team. So it happened last night.
I think they were 6-6 going into the game. They're like 4-6 in ACC play. Well, I mean, like you said, it's a midweek game. It doesn't matter. We got a couple of Facebook Lives brought to you by Metal Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Dan says the Bears continue chasing a QB. Yes, they do. Andy Dalton signed there. Joseph says, I guess he's referring to Washington. They have pick 19. Dave also says, will Chase Young have a repeat of last year? That dude's a player. He will be very good every year.
Their whole defense, the whole Washington defense has players lined up everywhere. A bunch of great players, All-Americans everywhere on that side of the ball. So Washington, made the playoffs last year, I think, because of their defense, and I don't see why they wouldn't be really, really good this year again. Maybe I was wrong about Fitzpatrick's contract. I think Dalton got $10 million, I think, or he got $6 million.
They both. He probably got $10 or $14 million.
I know Dalton got 10.
I think Fitzpatrick got 14, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, Dan says the SEC Gymnastics Championship is this weekend. Yes, it is. I'm hoping to get Jenny Rowland on next week before the NCAA stuff. And maybe I should have JC on here since you're very knowledgeable when it comes to gymnastics.
Yes, very knowledgeable. I know all 4 apparatuses. Can you name them real quick? Go ahead, off the top of your head.
You got the floor routine, the balance beam, the vault, and the high bars.
Uneven parallel bars.
I know, whatever they call them. Yeah.
The high bars.
It's amazing what they do. It freaks me out every time I watch those girls on the damn balance beam.
I couldn't imagine trying to do any of that stuff. So, yeah, you're right.
Don't forget, folks, we're going to have Jacquez Green second half of the show today. We'll talk to Quezzy, see what he's up to these days. JC, did you see where 4 Power 5 schools in the NCAA fired their coaches yesterday or in the last couple of days? Listen, do you know how much these 4 coaches, their buyout during this pandemic, right? Over $24 million. You had Richard Pitino at Minnesota, which he's already been hired by University of Mexico. The coach at Utah, Kristoviak or something, he got fired. Archie Miller.
Archie Miller, I did see that.
And then the other one was the Iowa State coach. So
that was shocking to me to see how bad Iowa State was this year. They typically have a pretty good basketball program there and do well. And Indiana, I think they just got tired of being mediocre with that coach. So I kind of liked Archie Miller. I thought he was pretty effective when he wasn't he at Arizona, I think, beforehand?
No, that's his brother.
That was his brother. Okay, I'm sorry. So, well, listen, I just think right now you got to give these guys a little bit of a chance as they work their programs through the.
Well, Archie Miller's been there a while, and Indiana stinks.
No, they're not good. They're absolutely.
They're trying to go after. What's his name? The Celtics coach, Brad Stevens.
Right, Brad Stevens, who was the former coach at Butler. So Indiana ties all around there, and you never know. Maybe Brad Stevens is tired of being in the NBA, but the money's good. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, he'd be crazy to leave the Celtics. You don't leave the Celtics to go to Indiana.
Well, I don't know how happy a guy is in the NBA coaching the Celtics, but maybe
you're coaching one of the most historical basketball teams in franchises.
Without
you don't leave the Celtics.
Yeah.
Refresh your vehicle and your brand with the vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. March is your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with JC here, we'll be joined by Jacquez Green here shortly. Okay, so JC, we're going to do our Peachland golf picks here in just a second. And what we're going to start doing, and we may try to get our viewers and listeners to join in. I don't know if we'll have a golf contest every week, probably just for the majors. But we're going to you and I are going to start doing kind of what they do on DraftKings. You have a salary cap, and each player has a certain amount. Because, it's easy to pick the top 3 players in the world. But you can't do that through this DraftKings process, and it'll make it very interesting for us. And so we'll do that. But in the meantime, I want to hear you, since you watched Bracketology all night last night.
I did. I watched it all night, QB.
Okay, so tell me a few of your upsets. But real quick.
Yeah.
I got some Facebook Lives brought to you by Melton Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators.
Go ahead.
Dan says, Archie Miller, 4 years and no NCAA tournament appearances in Indiana. White keeps taking the Gators to the dance. If he goes 0-4, then you can complain about White. Amen, Dan. Thank you for saying that. John says, I thought Archie Miller would have done good. He was very good at Dayton. I understand they are 2 different programs, though. Was he at Dayton?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he was at Dayton.
I didn't know that.
Well, Dayton is in the Atlantic 10, and there's some good programs in there, but it ain't the Big Ten.
No, not even close. Well, QB, I tell you, as I look through this practice, the first game that sticks out to me because of what this team has gone through with the COVID protocols and the fact that they are literally leaving, I think, tomorrow to play on Saturday. No, they're leaving on Friday to play on Saturday is Virginia. I think Virginia is hard to figure out what they're going to be able to do. I think today or tomorrow might be the first day they're actually able to practice. I don't know if that matters or not, but I like Ohio to upset Virginia in that 13-4 game. I consider that to be an upset. If Ohio were to win that game. And actually, Ohio could very easily go right
I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, because I didn't watch. You must have got this information somewhere. I have Ohio going to the Sweet 16.
Well, they would have to beat Southern Cal or whoever wins that game.
Yeah, I didn't want to give my picks away because I don't want our listeners to take my picks.
But you also mentioned your big upset of the Winthrop team, who's only lost 1 game, to beat Villanova, who's not Villanova really this year, or it's not the type of Villanova that we're used to watching. So Winthrop could be
their best players
another big. Yeah, so that could be another really good upset to pick. I think you're going to see a closer game than many think with Liberty and Oklahoma State. Liberty, I don't know how they do it in that tiny little school that they have up there stuck in the mountains somewhere in Virginia. But that program, that athletic department is really good. And
I've watched Liberty play in their championship game. They're a small version of Virginia. they can shoot the heck out of the 3-pointer.
Well,
but
just watch out.
I don't see them. Oklahoma State can make a run. They remind me of the Syracuse team that had Carmelo Anthony, and I think they can make a run with Cade Cunningham.
They're great, and Cade Cunningham is probably going to be your top pick in the NBA draft, so I don't doubt that for a minute. I also think Santa Barbara, the Gauchos of Santa Barbara, could give Creighton some issues because Creighton is having issues right now, much like Virginia. So Santa Barbara is a team that nobody really talks about or hears much of, but that's a team that could create some real issues as well. So, there's 3 for you right there. 3
Well,
upsets.
I have a couple. I don't have the bracket in front of me. I should have it in front of me. I can tell you some of my upsets. I got a bunch of upsets early, though. I really do.
Well, give us 2. You gave us Winthrop.
Well, I need to know the games. If you tell me some of the games.
Can you tell me the teams? I'll tell you.
No, I don't even remember who they are. I don't have them up in front of me.
Well, QB, what kind of show prep is that?
Well, I didn't really want to talk about my picks because we can still talk about them on Friday. Because it's different this year. With the tournament starting on Friday.
You wouldn't say that Loyola beating Georgia Tech is an upset, right? So you can't say that's an upset. Actually, Loyola is higher seeded too.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Those are toss-up games. Florida, Virginia Tech's a toss-up. It's a 7-10 game.
It is.
Anywhere between there, they're all toss-ups.
You might want to consider Syracuse as an 11 seed.
I love Syracuse.
Yeah, playing Syracuse. Syracuse is playing San Diego State. You might want to look at that one.
We got to get to Jacquez Green here in a minute. So let's go ahead and do our Peachland Dentistry. Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and the surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. It's the JC and the QB Peachland Dentistry golf picks.
Did I do better than you last week?
I don't even know. Neither one of our guys won, but I think your guys finished higher. So let's go ahead, and they're at the Honda Classic down in South Florida, Fort Lauderdale area.
Great golf course. Yeah,
a lot of the big boys are taking the week off. So I'm gonna let you have first pick. Who do you have?
Give me Shane Lowry. The way he hit the ball last week, I think he carries it on and gets it done. Shane Lowry from Ireland will be my first pick.
On St. Patrick's Day. Okay, good.
Of course.
I'm going to take Ben On.
Who?
Ben On.
What's his real? Is his name?
I don't
Ben?
know. I can't even pronounce his real name.
You can't say his real name. Okay.
Beyond On, or something like that.
Hun Hun On.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they call him Ben on the tour.
All right. So I'm sticking with momentum here, and this is probably not a good pick, but I love the way Taylor Gooch played last week. I thought that guy was just striping it, hits it long. Give me Taylor Gooch. Why not? I'll take Taylor Gooch and Shane Lowry. I like Taylor Gooch.
I'm going to take Hunter Mahan.
Oh, okay. That's a name we haven't heard of in a long time. Is it because you like the way he plays on this course? You just looked his name up?
I have no idea. When I talk, I just kind of went through the list real quick because usually somebody that you don't really expect to wins the Honda Classic.
Right. So in that light, give me Westwood's played great. Can he keep it up? I don't see it this week. I'll go with Dan Berger, another one of my favorites. So I've got Berger, I've got the Irishman, and Taylor Gooch.
And I'm going to go with Lowry. Ricky Fowler. It's about time for Ricky Fowler to start playing.
Gee whiz, that's a shocker. You always take Ricky Fowler. But watch Keith Mitchell win the thing. Okay? That's all. So.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, JC.
All right, Friday we're going to do March
Go to ESPN.com and get in our bracket challenge here. Maybe you can win a prize.
I'm getting it. I'll get in there. Okay, boss.
All right, that's JC. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. We're going to take our first time out of the pro. When we come back, we'll be joined by Jacquez Green, talking about his career and what he's up to these days. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Parter Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Dave & Buster's, Nike, Sushi Hana, Uzzaline, Day Spa, and coming June of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go back to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by a UF Hall of Famer, Jacquez Green. Good morning, Quezzy. How are you?
Good, Shane. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. Before we get started, I like to first of all, did anybody back in your high school days at Georgia call you Quezzy?
No. I think Coach Spurrier started that. Then it just took off with the fan base.
Yeah, that's what I figured. All right, so Quez, you grew up in the state of Georgia, were a stud football, basketball, track guy up in high school. Did you want to be a Gator? I mean, obviously you saw what Spurrier was doing in his early years there offensively, but what other schools did you look at or potentially think about going to?
When I first realized that I can play college football, at first I didn't even know that I was good enough to play college football. When I first realized it, I knew I wanted to play in the SEC. That's all I had ever known, living in Georgia, seeing Florida, Alabama, Auburn, all those schools. And I actually got recruited by every school in the SEC. And it came down to where I could play not even really the earliest set. It was like, if I wasn't a starter, could I still play? And I knew at Florida, they ran more than just 21 personnel most of the time. So I knew if I didn't start at Florida, Spurrier put 3 and 4 wide receivers on the field, I still have a chance to play. So that made a big difference in my decision to go to UF.
Yeah, so you come into Florida, and obviously, I don't know if it was – did you come in the same year Travis came in?
Yeah, me, Travis, Riedel, Ike, Jamie Richardson, and Nafis Kareem. Signed 6 receivers in our class.
That was I will have to say that's a pretty good class right there. I was talking to Travis about this time last year, and he was talking about a picture. It was shot from like the blimp down, and I think it was against Florida State, and I don't remember what year it was, but we were in 5 wides, and it was Doring, Travis, Quezzy, Ike, and Riedel all lined up. And I mean that's pretty damn good fivesome right there.
Yeah, that had to be our me and Travis redshirt freshman year probably, because that was the year that Ike and Doran had big seasons. The year we played Nebraska, Riedel was hurt just about their entire season. I think Riedel only played like 4 or 5 games that year. So the 3rd and 4th receivers for most of the year was me and Travis.
Yeah. So what other visits did you take other than Florida?
I visited Alabama. I didn't have to visit Auburn because I kind of knew so much about Auburn. Coach Garner, who is still recruiting now, he was recruiting me, and he basically camped out at my high school. I can look in the stands at basketball games. He was sitting there. I can look at basketball games on the road over in Columbus, Georgia. He'll be sitting in the stands. So the main visit was Mississippi State, Alabama. I knew a lot about Georgia. I knew a lot about Auburn already. I was supposed to take a visit to Maryland. I think Maryland was running the run and shoot at that time. They was using a lot of Scott Milanovich. They was using a lot of small, quick receivers at the time. And I was supposed to go to the Maryland, North Carolina game when Joe Smith was going against Rasheed Wallace, I think. But it snowed, and I never got a chance to take that visit.
Okay. Who was the main guy that recruited you from Florida?
Coach Reeves.
Okay.
Coach Reeves recruited me in Florida. Bob. Yeah. John was always in Fort Valley, though. Some of the people still remember him in the back of the end zones. It's a lot of our home football games. When we talk about old times, as far as high school football and recruit, a lot of guys always talk about I remember when Florida coach came to see you back in the day. So Coach Reeves recruited me, and I always kept a pretty decent relationship with Coach Reeves after that. You know, we always spoke, or he'll text me, he'll inbox me on social media, even before he passed away.
Yeah, he was a very intramural. Very very important part in my career playing. Quezzy, when you look back, you know, Coach Dwayne Dixon was the wide receiver coach, and I've had Coach Double D on my show, and you know, he's a guy that I think kind of flies under the radar because he had so many really good players, and you know, just the way he worked with y'all and individuals and stuff like that. Just talk a little bit about what Coach Double D meant to you. And now that you're a coach, have you taken some of the stuff that you learned from him?
I never knew how good of a coach Dixon was until I actually, you know, as I got up into the NFL. I was like, wow, these guys don't even coach. Nothing like, you know, my coach did in college. You know, Coach Dixon was big on fundamentals. He was big on what part of your game you were lacking, and he'll find a drill to, you know, get that part of your game up to par. And we just worked, you know, and he made it fun, so it didn't really feel like work. But at the same time, you was working on your fundamentals and your techniques. And to this day, he's the best wide receiver coach I've ever had. And, you know, I take most of my individual drills or whatever when I first started coaching, even to this day, or some of the drills that Coach Dixon that taught us back in the day. You know, you can't do as many in high school because you don't have, you know, grad assistants and all that got, you know, to help you out with the drills. But most of the basic stuff, footwork and distraction drills and top of your routes and route running came from what we did at University of Florida.
Yeah. How many times did Coach Dixon fall asleep in the meetings when you were there?
He was always asleep. He'll pop up at the last second and try to act like he wasn't asleep. But we had fun, though. I think that's what helped us, you know, in the long run, though. We practiced hard, we played hard, but at the same time, we had fun.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Coach Dixon, you back there sleeping? So Quezzy, when you look back at your career, let's go to the national championship game against Nebraska. Was it the opening kickoff? I can't remember when you dislocated your hip.
It was like the second or third kickoff. It was the second kickoff. Because I think we had a joke about each kickoff, one of our guys got knocked out the game. And I think the first one, the first kickoff, Kevin Walton blew out his knee. They did something to him. He tore his knee. Then I dislocated my hip. And I think the third kickoff, Tony George, somebody else got hurt too for the game. So it was the second kickoff. I remember it good. Like yesterday, it was a kickoff. And Riedel wouldn't call for the football. So the ball rolled on the ground. So I went and scooped it up. And they had this slick grass, and the initial lick, you know, just put me in a bad predicament. And then it was like 3 or 4 guys came and piled onto the pile at the end, and you know, my hip just popped out of place. And I could feel it come out of place. And when I was laying on the ground, and I think Riedel was talking to me, I said, "Tell him my hip out." Like I knew exactly what it was.
Ooh. And so I can't remember. Did you have surgery on that, or did they just pop it back in, or what did they do?
No, they checked it out, make sure it wasn't any major fractures in your hip area. They realized I still had my blood flow to my hip. You know, I think that's what happened with Bo Jackson. He wasn't getting any adequate blood flow to his hip, so his, you know, everything just died in that area. So he had to get a hip replacement. But everything was fine. The fractures I had in my hip were small fractures, so I just rehabbed every day for like 4 or 5 months in a row. Just nothing but rehab out at Hampton Oaks every single day for forever. You know, when it first happened, I was on hip precautions, which means I couldn't bend from the waist down. I had to stay straight up on crutches. You know, I had to have someone help me get dressed every day. I had to catch a little small buster class in Gainesville. So once that was over with, you know, I started doing like a little light rehab, a lot of underwater work to keep from having weight, you know, keep from bearing weight on my leg, on my hip area. And once that got done, I started doing a little light jogging with I think it was Coach Tootin and Pat. I never really realized how fast they freaking pace was when they be jogging around the campus. They was moving. I used to struggle running with them guys. So I did that for like a whole month. And next thing you know, I started playing intramural basketball when I wasn't supposed to. So I kind of knew I was kind of on my way back once I started being able to move around. I just never had any lateral quickness. I mean, I couldn't move laterally as well anymore, but my straight ahead speed was still good.
You having any issues with it now, being an older guy?
It always be sore. You know, it always sore. Whenever I go to Gainesville, and I used to see the old trainers and physical the trainers and whatever in Gainesville, I used to always ask him about it. And he always told me that it'd be sore over time and get sore when it's about to rain. Sort of like arthritis, I guess, what goes on with it now.
Yep. At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. We're speaking with Jacquez Green on the Titan Tomorrow hotline from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. You can follow him on Twitter at Jacquez Green. All right, Quezzy, you and I have something in common, and I don't think you know this. I think we are the only players to have a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown, and a passing touchdown in a single game. Did you know that?
Shane, I didn't know you had I didn't know you did that. I didn't know anything. You did that? Against who?
Against Kentucky.
Wow.
I had a quarterback sneak. I caught a pass. I think Alonzo Sullivan threw me the double pass back to the quarterback, and I scored from about 30 yards out, and obviously I threw a couple.
Wow. I didn't know that. Actually, the day I did it, I didn't realize I did it until I got in the interview after the game, and the guy was asking me about it. I was like, yeah, I did. That did happen out there tonight, but I never realized it. But looking back, all three of those scores were big because we barely beat Auburn that day. I think it was like 21-17, so we needed all three touchdowns that particular day.
What rushing? Would you run a be quick in for a touchdown?
Well, we had another one. It was like a be quick, but I'll come around like around behind the quarterback. He'll hand it to him. We pulled the guard and tackle out in front of me. It's like a tall sweep, kind of, sort of. It was out of ace formation the same way, though. It's kind of all three touchdowns out of ace, matter of fact. Because one was the touchdown I threw was all be quick, and I threw a pass for a touchdown. The slant
who caught it?
Jamie Richardson.
Jamie Richardson. Okay.
It was good. It was one of them plays Spurrier made up. We ran be quick, and we knew the guys would fly up on the edge, and Jamie went in like he was going to crack the safety, went back to the back corner, and I threw it on the line. Yeah,
a lot of people forget. That's what Coach Spurrier I think high school football, and we'll talk about that here in a minute, but high school football has changed a lot. Back in those days, they put guys like yourself, Ike Hilliard, they all played quarterback. So most of Coach Spurrier's wideouts could all throw because they were high school quarterbacks. Quezzy, looking back, would you say the biggest play in your Gator career was I think it was an audible by Dougie against Florida State. What was it, 5 semi?
Yeah,
face mask?
It was 5 semi. It was 5 semi, and maybe a couple of plays before that, Samari Rowe almost picked the ball off. And you know how Doug is. He don't care. He's a gunslinger. So even with a minute left in the game, it was Coach Spurrier called 5 semi again, and Doug gave me the face mask. And luckily I ran a good route, and Doug put it around the money, and it was a big play in Gator history. Yeah,
there's no question. That was one of the loudest. I wasn't at that game. I was watching it. I forgot what team I was on at that time. But I remember being in a hotel, and then I think Fred Taylor scored a couple plays later.
Yes, I cut all back across the field. We went down to maybe the 16-yard line, and Fred scored a couple plays later around the end.
Yeah, Quezzy, you follow college football a lot, and I like to ask guys this all the time. The 95 team was outstanding. Obviously, got demolished against Nebraska. The 96 team wins the national title. You've seen the 06 and the 08 teams under Urban. Which team would Quezzy Green take?
I'll take the 96 team. I don't think anybody could stop us, period. I don't care what defense, especially in college. Nobody could stop us in 96. And our 96 defense was pretty good. I think that's when Coach Stoops had just got there, and we was doing a lot of pressure looks on defense. We was bringing pressure. We was playing man-to-man, and we had really evolved on defensively around that time. So out of all the teams, I'd probably take that team because I don't think any of those defenses would stop our offense.
Yeah, I'm with you. I still lean towards the 96 team myself. Quez, you were inducted into the University of Florida Athletic Hall of Fame, I believe, in 2017. What was that feeling like?
I enjoyed it. The reason why I enjoyed it more so than usual was the fact that when you get in our Hall of Fame, you competing against some of the best athletes in all of sports. You competing against the best swimmers, the best tennis players, the best track and field athletes in all of college sports. So we're not a school. We're not like a one-trick pony school. You just got a good football program or you just got a good basketball program. And matter of fact, I went in with Joakim Noah and those guys that came in that won the back-to-back championships in basketball. So it was a big deal for me, just because of the University of Florida and all the great athletes that we have at the university.
Yeah. I want to ask you too, you're a punt returner and also, as we know, a kickoff returner. You like returning punts and kickoffs more than you do like would you rather return a punt for a touchdown or catch a deep post for a touchdown?
Probably a punt. Because a punt is more so, you got help, you got guys blocking, but a punt is more so just your vision and your innate ability to make guys miss an open space. You can always draw up a good pass play and get somebody open, but I always enjoyed punts. I never even liked kickoffs. They'd always put me back to the beginning of every season for every team I played for, but I like punts. Because with punts, I can see when the guy comes free. With kickoff, you just have to hit it and hope nobody comes free. So I just always enjoyed punts. And matter of fact, that's been the way that I've got on the field in each level of football that I ever played. In high school, I was a backup. I started returning punts, so I started earning playing time at receiver. At UF, I started doing a good job at punts, so I started getting more, chance to catch the ball at receiver. And in the NFL, my first job was returning punts before I became an actual starting receiver. So
we got a text here on the Titan MR text line. It's from Jonathan. Jonathan wants to know, Jacquez, was there one college defensive back that you did not enjoy playing against?
Oh, not really. No. I felt I was prepared. When Coach Stoops came to UF, we played so much man-to-man that I got so much practice at that in practice every day. Fred Weir and Elijah and Tony George, all we saw was man-to-man. And so, when we got a chance to see it in the real games, it wasn't that big of a deal to us. And I also was fortunate. I played against some good corners. I think Terry Fair was a first rounder from Tennessee. Corey Chavez was a second rounder from Vanderbilt. Samari Rowe was a second rounder at FSU. I played against Patrick Surtain against Southern Miss that year. He was a second rounder. So I played against probably some of the best corners in college football that season. So I'll say Corey Chavez, just because Vanderbilt was a high pressure team. So you had to get open a lot faster against Vanderbilt than you had against most teams in college football.
Yeah. I want to ask you this. With all those great receivers that you had pretty much every year until you were like the guy. Once Ike and Riedel left, you were the guy. Receivers are always open, and they always want the damn ball. Did you guys ever argue with one another that I ain't getting enough balls thrown my way? Because I've always said to people on the outside, Coach Spurrier always did a tremendous job, regardless of who he had at receiver. He had certain plays built in for this guy. We're going to try to get Kwesi the ball and this personnel on this play. Or it may be this is what Ike does well. We're going to do this for Ike. But did you guys ever argue with one another or bitch and complain to Double D?
We've never argued, and I've never heard one of our receivers argue on the sideline about not getting the ball. Like, we knew that it would be enough balls for everyone. Matter of fact, if we get in the game and one of us, both of us have a touchdown, another one doesn't have a touchdown, we'll tell him to get in the spot because we knew the offense so well that we knew he'll probably get the ball for the touchdown. We've done that plenty of times. Like, I could tell me, hey, come get this. Come get this smash route. You're going to get it against man-to-man. Or Riedel would be like, come get this post right here. It's going to probably be wide open because you're going to play a couple forward against two tight end formation. So, and we were such good friends. Like, to this day, me, Ike, and Riedel, real close. So it was never any dissension between any of us. So we just the more each one of us played well, the better it was for the entire team. And we were competitive between each other. I think that's what made us so good.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point because you just said against certain coverages, we knew where the ball should go. And that's one thing that, there's a lot of great college passing teams out there, and the game has changed. But I feel like why Florida passing game was so good under Spurrier was because the receivers met with the quarterbacks and with Spurrier. So y'all knew at the line of scrimmage, whatever play was called, you saw the coverage, you knew where Danny should be throwing the football. Why do you think coaches don't have receivers and quarterbacks meet more together?
I don't know. That's the only way you can get the gray area out the passing game. Once you meet together, you on the same page, you think the same. I don't know. A lot of things Spurrier did, he was way ahead of his time as far as coaching and schemes and whatever. To this day, I still meet with my quarterbacks and receivers. We meet together. We go over things together. We even get on the same page. I'm like, what you guys want to call this? What you want to signal this? I think it's very important for both guys to be on the same page. I don't understand.
Yeah. So Kwesi, after your Florida career, You get drafted by the Buccaneers in the second round, get to stay in the state of Florida, play there a little bit, and move around. Just talk about your pro days. Obviously, it's a hard business to stay in, but you had some success with the Buccaneers.
It was pretty good. It was fun. We won a lot of games. I had some great teammates in Tampa also. Like I had some really good dudes that I played with. Just funny though, when I first got drafted and and I first got there, every day I was like, man, they don't throw the ball here. So he's like, they don't throw the ball here. I'm like, wow, they don't. No, I didn't know. But as I got older, I realized that the pro game and the college game is just totally different. It's just totally different in the way teams approach it. I thought it was different until I saw the Rams a couple of years later when I was in the pros. I'm like, they throwing the ball down the field like we did in college. It's like, why we don't do that kind of stuff like that? But I played for Coach Dungy. He was a great guy, great head coach. We won a bunch of games. I was one game away from the Super Bowl one year when we played the Rams in the NFC Championship game. So I had a lot of success. I had a lot of fun. First year, I was basically a rookie. Second year, I caught 50-some balls. Third year, I caught 50-some balls. And I thought I was about to be a superstar eventually. But my fourth year in the league, I tore my growing up, and I was never the same. I didn't know my rights or whatever as an athlete back then. And I think the Bucs, when I was a free agent with a bad growing and tore them growing. That's when I signed with Washington. But I could never run again. Like my growing was always sore. Every day at practice was always sore. I couldn't move like I wanted to. So after that, I didn't want to get into a point where I'm just signing with teams, trying to make teams, So I decided to retire, and probably was the best thing I could have did. I think I enjoy what I do now, and I have a lot of fun.
Yeah, you've been coaching high school ball for about 13, 14 years and been an offensive coordinator up in the Tallahassee area, won a state title with Lincoln, made a deep run with Godby, and now you're the offensive coordinator down at Bradenton Manatee, which has a great history of football. Just talk about what you enjoy about being a high school football coach.
I enjoy helping the kids reach, whatever goals, aspirations they're trying to reach. I'm not, a lot of guys nowadays, they trying to use these kids for whatever their personal gain is or whatever. And I don't have anything I'm trying to gain from this. I just want to make sure they're successful. I want to help them make good college decisions. I want to help, put them in a position. If they go to college, they're able to compete. They understand football. Like if I send a quarterback to college, I want to make sure he understands coverages. He understands protections. He know how to throw the ball. He know how to take a drop. He know how to take a snap from on the center. So I love it. I enjoy it. And at the same time, I wish I would have started coaching high school football sooner.
Did you ever want to be a college coach, or you just love the high school game?
I always loved the day we got our new game plan for the week. I loved it in college when Spurrier bring a new game plan in there, and I loved it in the pros on Wednesday when we get our new game plan. So I always love the schematic part of football. I always love scheming and how we're going to run this new play out of this new formation. I always kept my notes and old playbooks when I played. And the thing that really helped me out a lot was the fact that at Florida, we were always in the meeting room with the quarterback. So I understood protections at an early age. A lot of people don't even have a clue about protections. So
right.
At UF, I learned protections because we had to know protections to play receiver at Florida.
Yeah, no doubt. Kwesi, you also, I believe you're still doing the scouting stuff?
Yeah, I do evaluations for XOS, doing evals on a bunch of younger prospects, sophomores and on down. And we send out once we do the evaluation, we send them out straight to the universities that work with us, mostly a bunch of Power 5 universities. So it's kind of fun because I get to see all these guys before they start getting all these stars and all these ratings. I get to see these guys back when they're 9th graders and 10th graders and see how good they are. But the cool thing about what I do now, we don't put our stuff all on the website and be trying to rank them and whatever like that. We just do evals of these guys, send them straight to colleges and go with it like that.
Kwesi, like I said, follow Kwesi on Twitter. He's great at tweeting or just responding to some tweets at Jacquez Green. Your thoughts on 7-on-7?
Back when it first started, it was a way to get you guys together to work on your passing game. to get your rhythm down in your passing game. Be able to go against other teams who play real coverages. But then it morphed into something like, something that wasn't even football anymore.
Right.
Just guys running around, throwing go routes, throwing crossing routes, DBs playing linebacker. It's not even football anymore to me. It just, I don't know what you can call it. It's not even 7-on-7 football anymore. Then it's real, I've attended a couple of tournaments. It's all chaotic out there and crazy. So
it's crazy. So people want to fight.
Yeah, like every time I've been, it's like a big old fight between 2 or 3 teams. And then you got these guys who try to tell these kids that they can get them scholarships and all this weird stuff. I'm like, man, you can't get nobody no scholarship, dude. You just I think it started out as the right way, and it has morphed and went somewhere that is just out, not what they expected to be early on.
Yeah. Last couple of things for you. You were a 3-sport star in high school. I played 3 sports in high school. Don't you think the kids need to play multiple sports these days?
I don't see how kids just play one sport and just sit around for the whole off season. Like, I guess they're not as competitive as we are also, because I was so competitive that I was always ready to play the next sport. I was ready to compete. And furthermore, all my friends, best friends, always play all the sports. So we were always together, always competing. I think each sport helps you out with some type of skill set for the other sport. I don't think you should just focus on one sport and just play that sport. I think by playing one sport, I think you limit your ceiling in that sport. That's why a lot of guys, when they get to college, they're already as good as they're going to be. They don't have any more room for growth, especially quarterbacks. Last
thing, Quezzy, I asked all the players that played for the HBC, you got to have a good story for us.
Coach Spurrier. Oh, one time I had called, we had practice when I first got in Gainesville. I was so used to just running around, not drinking water most of the time, not drinking water. My mom always told me, you got to drink water. You're going to be out in the sun. You got to drink water. Okay, the first summer, we was practicing. I caught some cramps, terrible cramps. So bad that the doctor had to come back to the, how you have the night meeting during training camp when everybody's left on you guys in the meeting room. So the doctor had to come back to see me that night because I had cramped up in the sports complex. But before he got there, I was laying on the floor and I just caught cramps in the meeting room, And I told Coach, told Riedel, I think, I said, pour some Gatorade on me. And Coach Perry said, what? You want to pour Gatorade on you? You can't pour Gatorade on you down there, huh? You're not cramped that bad, are you? It was just funny, though. You had to listen to how you said it. So, long story short, I had cramped up, full body cramps, and I had to wait like an hour for the doctor to get back in town to treat me. And I couldn't practice for like 2 or 3 days. I was in the wheelchair that night because my body was so sore.
Well, Quezzy, we appreciate you taking the time. Good luck down there at Bradenton Manatee. We'll be following your team. And I know the Gator Nation was glad to hear from you, my man.
Appreciate it, Shane. Anytime.
Yep, that's Jacquez Green. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. We're going to take our final time out of the program, come back and wrap up this Wednesday edition.
Hey, Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. Hot Up with Matthews in the morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is G-Tech Sport. Keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios at Center State Bank. We put business first. We're the largest community bank in the state of Florida and understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. Center State Bank, member FDIC. The winner of the Chomp Harder hat this week goes to Justin Dankel. Make sure they'll get you your hat. And want to thank JC and want to thank Jacquez Green, UF Hall of Famer, for joining the program. Tomorrow's show, make sure you tune in. We'll have Brent Beard talking college sports, but we're also going to have former Gator shooting guard Craig Brown, who works for the NBA now overseas, and he will be talking a little bit about Gator basketball. NCAA tournament, was the shooting guard for the first Gator Final Four team. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.